Hey everybody, how's it going? Mike from the Focus Garage coming at you in the garage, and I know we ended the last video saying that we had traded in the Aprilia Tuono and we had gotten something else. So I want to get into that and show you guys what exactly it is that we purchased here, what's replaced the Italian motorcycle, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Got some mountain bikes behind me here. If you guys are interested in that kind of content, let me know. I've kind of been going through a whole mountain biking excursion over the last couple of years. Last year I was on a hardtail specialized rock hopper. Now the wife and I have got a couple of polygon bikes there, like those. But without any further ado, let me know if you want to see that. Let's check out the new motorcycle. All right, so here it is. Now just know at the time of filming this, I've already had this bike for a little bit. We've got over 1,000 miles on it. I've actually already done an iron butt ride on this bike itself here, but it is a 2023 BMW S1000 single R with the M package and a couple other things here. We've got the premium package and all that. I'll get into that. Just kind of want to show you guys around the motorcycle here. We've got that Grom looking headlight on it that a lot of people like to make fun of. But yeah, I mean, this is the bike. It's already outfitted with quite a few parts. At the end of the video here, I'll kind of get into that and show you the installation of some of the things like the bar end mirrors and just other pieces. But we've got the radiator guards, the mirrors, got the little windscreen on it there, got the tail tidy. Some really neat pieces here are the forged aluminum wheels, the Akrapovic exhaust on it, just the end can there. You still see you've got the big cat and everything like that. We've got some frame sliders, some axle sliders, some nice Brembo brakes there. But yeah, this is the bike, and a little bit behind my thought process with this motorcycle is when I was looking at getting my previous bike, the Aprilia, this was really the only bike that I was cross-shopping it with. And on paper, this motorcycle offered less performance. But what I wasn't taking into consideration was, one, the build quality of this. I mean, this, and I've said it 100 times to a lot of people, the build quality of this thing makes the Aprilia literally feel like a preschooler's toy. Just the fit and finish of everything, even the way the plastics come together. All of these fasteners actually are like BMW marked and branded. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So like you've got the build quality, but this may make less horsepower on paper, but the mod potential of this bike is actually just as strong as the Aprilia. So if you do something like a decat and tune on this, or an airbox, or velocity stacks, you're going to be making very, very similar power to the Aprilia, if not more, depending on what kind of tune you go with and how all that works out for you. So, you know, power aside, that's not even a huge concern. The other thing about this bike that it gets me is comfort. This bike is a good bit more comfortable than the Aprilia was. My feet and knees are not as high up and bent. The bars are a little bit higher, so it's more of a relaxed riding position. Like I was saying, I did my 600-mile break-in on this bike, and then after that, one of the first rides I did was an iron butt ride. I did 1,000 miles in 24 hours. I went from here all the way to Copper Harbor, Michigan, and back on this thing in, I think it was like 16 or 18 hours or something like that, and it was not that bad at all. So yeah, one of the first things I did on this bike after breaking it in was an iron butt ride, just because it's something that I wanted to see, you know, how it felt and what it was like. First impressions of this bike is it is not as raw as the Aprilia, and it does not make as much torque, but the way that the power comes on in this bike is really, really fun and addicting. This has kind of that old school, you know, inline four feeling where 8,000 in RPMs up, this thing really comes into the power band and it feels like you're in freaking warp speed. You know, it's not as punchy down low, but it really kind of rewards you for winding it out and making you want to get through the revs. The headlight is another huge area of improvement that I wanted to talk about, even though it's kind of goofy and looks like a Grom and a lot of people don't like it because it's not asymmetrical the way the old S1000R is. I like the adaptive headlight on this and how bright it is. Even though the Aprilia kind of had more headlight real estate, this has way more usable light on the road. This has been one of the better headlights that I've had at night in a while on a motorcycle. Makes night riding a lot more approachable and kind of easy to see what's going on there. The gauge cluster on this thing is absolutely wild. It is one of the most crisp and most sharp displays that I've ever seen on a motorcycle. And even in bright, bright daylight, there is no problem seeing what's going on with the screen there. It even has phone integration where I can mirror the maps from my phone onto here and get turn-by-turn directions. We've got heated grips on this thing, electronically adjustable suspension, no key, so it's fob. You just push the button, you're good to go. It's a lot of improvements and just kind of, technology jumps that my Aprilia did not have. Like I said, this bike is much more smooth. So like the power band is not as raw, rewards you for winding it out. The suspension's a little bit more compliant and it is more comfortable. I was cross-shopping this motorcycle with the XR, but ultimately decided on this because I still wanted something that was a little bit more naked, a little bit more raw, and I could always get one of those later on in life. Right now, I like the idea of this lightweight motorcycle. We've got the forged wheels, the minimalist look to it. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm gonna jump to some clips now of when I got the bike, what it looked like, and then just kind of my walkthrough of some of the first mods that I did to it. But I just wanted to introduce the bike to the channel here. The Aprilia is gone. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that may think this is a step backwards as far as like hyper naked bikes go, but I actually think this is a step forwards as far as something that's going to be a little bit more reliable. This has a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty, which is one of the best in the motorcycle industry. And these are pretty solid from all of the research that I've done. So we'll jump into this, kind of show you what else we've got going on. I've got a lot of my, starter mods done to the bike. Really all else we can expect is probably a rest of the exhaust, maybe like a header system there, intake and a tune. But that's kind of where we are with the bike right now. I just, again, wanted to introduce it to the channel. We're going to jump back in time to previous time Mike when he first got this bike and show you guys some clips there. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll catch you in the next one. Also, if there's anything you know about me, I can never leave anything alone. So we're already going to start modifying the S1000R. And the first things I need to do is aesthetically clean it up a little bit. I actually already went ahead and I put on the rear spools. But to get this bike where I want it looking visually, it's going to need a couple different things. So we're going to be pulling off these really, really big alien ear mirrors there. We're going to be doing a tail tidy. And we're also going to be removing the reflector off the front fender there. I'm not going to be super, super detailed with the install or anything like that. But I do just kind of want to show you through the process of me, what it looks like now. And then what it looks like once everything's done. So again, there's kind of the big, big mirrors there with the factory bar ends. And then you got that tail just kind of hanging out up there. We're going to go ahead and take care of that. So I'll show you what everything looks like once the bike is cleaned up and looking kind of more towards the way I want it. All right, so I hope you can tell now, but the motorcycle looks quite a bit different. So first things first is we went ahead and we removed the big factory mirrors here. So what's actually neat about it now is the bike looks very, very like short and muscly. There's nothing big poking up in front of the handlebars there. I did order some rubber plugs which should fit right in each of these posts. The plugs that I have are not the right thread pitch to go into there. So I removed both of the mirrors, took those out. But now we've got the Rhino Moto bar ends with the CRG lane splitter mirrors, just the same way we had it on the Aprilia. So they fold in, easier for storage, easier for tight spaces when riding the motorcycle. So here's kind of what they look like folded in there. And then they're just on that hinge, they fold out. Went ahead and removed the reflector from the front fender there on both sides. So that just kind of cleans it up. You don't have this big orange piece looking on the front of the motorcycle there. Neat about this, there was no bolts or anything like that or no holes. It was just double-sided tape. So once you got the tape off, you're all good to go. So that kind of cleans it up, from the front here. And then when you're looking towards the back, you can see now that it is all tidied up. I mean, that thing is very, very tail tucked now. There is a tail light built into this, and I'll show you in a second. This is the Futurist Moto tail tidy. And as you can see, it is very, very tucked to the tail of the motorcycle here. It retains a license plate light, but in the position that that plate's in right now, it's probably not really shining on the plate. But give me a second, let me turn on the motorcycle and I'll show you what that light looks like. So it's gonna be hard to do it justice here on camera, but this is your tail light now. And then like I was saying, you've got your license plate light kind of shining white on my hand on there. But this is now your tail light, and that is also your turn signal. So that's what it looks like in the running light mode. And then if we flip on a signal here for you, you can see we've got the turn signal kind of doing its thing there. It'll do turn signal, it'll do flashers, it'll do brake light, everything like that. But again, this is the Futurist Moto piece. Installation was not too bad. My first kind of thoughts and overall feelings about installing the tail tidy on this bike is that you can see why everything fits together and the fit and finish is so good on this versus other motorcycles that I've owned. It was very, very intricate the way the different pieces go together and how much had to be assembled and just the way BMW routes things. Once you've got it all done, you won't ever have to take these side pieces off again, but the way BMW runs the wiring for the taillights and everything like that, you've got to remove this side piece and both this side piece, as well as pretty much this whole entire tray, almost top and bottom here, just to gain access to the plugs in here for the turn signals and the brake lights and everything like that. So you've got to remove all that stuff, take it out before you can actually, route the wires and route the tail tidy and everything like that. This mounts pretty flush to the tail. I was seeing some people say that for the 23s this didn't fit for them. They needed different screws or something like that, but I don't know. I didn't have any issues with it. It bolted right up with mine. It took a little bit of being careful, but everything fit great. Saw a lot of people online saying they broke pieces of these, like the locating tabs. Biggest tip with these is work from the front of the motorcycle and work your way backwards. So there's a screw underneath here and then a screw on the inside here that you have to take off, and then you pretty much just pry up here. The biggest thing to pay attention of is there's two little slide tabs in the back here. So basically once you've got all this piece undone, go ahead and slide this backwards and then you should be good to go. So we've got, both of those pieces done there. Everything's good. I've gone ahead and I've routed all of the wiring kind of like in this little channel underneath the seat. So that way I don't have to worry if I ever do need to switch my tail or something like that. All the wiring's in there. I no longer have to pull these pieces off. I should be able to just pop this rear pillion seat off and have access to everything. I'm going to ride with this for a little bit and see what I think about it. I have heard of people say with the earlier versions of these, they have the license plate lights dying on them and stuff like that. This is a later version, so hopefully it's good. And if it's visible or not, that's going to be something else we'll have to see. One thing that I do also have is I have just like a generic eBay tail tidy coming. So if this is like too tucked or it doesn't work right, I've got an eBay tail tidy coming that I can use the factory signals on. So we'll see how all that works out. But again, we've got the tail tidy installed. We've now got the Rhino Moto bar ends with the CRG lane splitter mirrors here. And the motorcycle's really coming along. I think the only other thing aesthetically that I want to do to it is get a little fly screen or a windshield. I think I'll be going with Pug for that. And then I do have some Evotech crash protection, like front and rear axle sliders. And then I have a frame slider that kind of tucks under the fairing here that I'll be putting on. And then driving around with this giant exposed radiator and oil cooler. I don't love that. I ordered the BMW pieces for that, so I'll be putting those on when that comes. Right now I've got about 150 miles on the motorcycle, trying to work my way up to that break-in service. So once we've got about 650 on it, we'll go ahead and get that break-in service done and unlock all of the revs and all of the power that this motorcycle has. Once that's done, we'll probably look into doing some kind of headers or decat. Titanium would be cool, and then with that, obviously you should be tuning it, so we're gonna see kind of where all of that goes. But for now, these are just the first like two major things, the tail tidy and the mirrors that I had to do aesthetically, just to kind of clean up the looks of the bike and really make it feel like my own. So that stuff's done. Super impressed with the bike. I am gonna be sharing my own kind of thoughts and feedback on the motorcycle itself in a future video, but for right now, I just kind of want to show you what I was doing aesthetically with the mods. Didn't want to do a tutorial, just kind of wanted to throw the stuff on real quick. Nothing was overly difficult. This was a little scary with all the fasteners that I saw once it came out, because again, you take this piece off, taking this piece off, taking like an under piece off, and then you're putting the tail tidy back on. It would have been difficult to film, especially considering I'd never done it before, but it's all done now, and I really like what that does with the rear of the motorcycle. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I will catch you guys in the next video.